boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this per veteran boxing scribe Carlos Linares. A great possibility that Raymond Muratalla moves up to 140 pounds, confirms his trainer, Robert Garcia. During his appearance on The Boxing Voice, on the afternoon of this past October 28th, renowned trainer Robert Garcia revealed that his pupil, Raymond Muratalla, could be approaching the end of his lightweight campaign. We'll decide after going through training camp and after the Andy Cruz fight, but there's a great possibility this will be our final fight at lightweight and then move up to 140. Muratalla, who has already begun his preparation to face the Cuban Andy Cruz and defend his IBF world title, has shown a physique increasingly strong for the division, making the move up to 140 super lightweight seem imminent, i.e., so soon after having become a champion, Raymond could already be outgrowing the lightweight division in tandem with an anticipated loss. Being an IBF champion isn't easy. You often hear people ask, how come you don't see more familiar faces going after the IBF title? Why do they go after the WBC or the WBA? Why don't more of them go after the IBF? And it's because the IBF don't dick around when it comes to their mandatories. If you've got one, you gotta satisfy your mandatory. You gotta fight them or they won't hesitate to strip you. They've stripped anyone from Tyson Fury to Canelo Alvarez to Gennady Golovkin. They'll strip you and they won't hesitate to do it. If more fighters don't want to be IBF champions, it's because they order their mandatories in a timely fashion and they don't give you time to mess about, and they have a weight cap. They have a rehydration clause on any fight involving their alphabet title that they only waive in the event of a unification match if there's more than one title on the line. But if there isn't, you're subject to a rehydration cap. So when you see that more fighters don't go after the IBF, they go after other belts, that would be the why. Raymond is feeling the pinch, feeling the pressure, sporting a professional record of 23 wins with no losses and no draws, 17 knockouts. Last in action in May of this year, that turned out to be the only fight that he had, the fight with Zaur Abdullaev. He fought 3 times last year, but he only got to fight once this one, likely a byproduct of Top Rank being in limbo, not having a broadcast partner. The fight between him and Andy Cruz will be on the Matchroom side of things as a result of Matchroom winning the purse bid for the fight. Top Rank put a bid in, but Matchroom put up a bigger one, a better one. They've got the rights, they're hosting the fight, and they mean to stage it early next year. And you're already hearing Raymond, that is Robert Garcia, in reference to Raymond, talking about leaving the division, talking about moving up. Some are interpreting this as an excuse for Raymond Muratalla. Should he lose to Andy Cruz, and some people think that he's going to, they think Robert is saying this so they have something to fall back on when it goes sideways. I've never heard Raymond or Robert talk about busting at the seams or struggling to make the weight. This is the first I've heard of this, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we're hearing about it now, that he's about to fight Andy. There's a reason for that. Gold medalist Andy Cruz, I think, has his role to play, who in only 6 professional fights stands on the precipice of becoming a world champion. Just 2 years and 6 fights into his pro boxing career. This was a big signing for Matchroom. Decorated amateur background is a big part of why Andy has been able to move as fast as he has, fighting for a title just 2 years and 6 fights into his pro career. Last in action in June of this year, opposite the ring Hironori Mashiro, who he stopped in 5 rounds. Before that, he fought in January against Omar Salcido. Now he's about to fight Raymond Muratalla. I don't think Top Rank is as invested in Raymond as Matchroom is as invested in Andy. I think this fight means a lot more to Matchroom and Andy Cruz. Yeah, that's why they put up a bigger bid. Matchroom signed Andy Cruz. It was likely with the intention, at least in part, of building up a Keyshawn Davis fight down the line, except that Keyshawn Davis has already left the lightweight division, but they still have Andy. They still have to promote him, so what is the plan? Well, the first order of business is getting him a title, which I think they're about to do. I like Andy Cruz's chances in that Raymond Muratalla fight when it happens, and afterwards, if he gets the belt, you know what comes after that. Unification! The other champions at the weight. Currently, Shakur S. Stevenson holds the WBC title. Gervonta Davis holds the WBA. Very soon, Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes will be fighting for the WBO, the newly vacated WBO title that Keyshawn Davis left behind. Now, of those three champions, that is, of those three titles, the one I think they will target, should Andy become a champion, is the WBA title.
Andy's not going to get a fight with Gervonta. The WBA title is the one he has.
Oh yeah, the one he has right now, except that he plans on retiring after the Jake Paul fight, and when he does, he'll drop that belt. I mean, I don't think Gervonta's going to have that belt much longer. When he drops it, it's going to go to Floyd Schofield. Floyd Schofield, who fights on the same side of the street as Andy, more or less. They both box on DAZN. So I think it's going to go. Unbeaten Raymond Muratalla for the IBF title, then unbeaten Floyd Schofield for the WBA. All the while, Andy amasses professional experience enough that maybe he'll stand a better chance against the winner of Mason versus Noakes, Shakur Stevenson, should he return to the lightweight division after the Lopez fight. Getting ahead of ourselves, putting the cart before the proverbial horse. For now, the focus is fighting Raymond and beating Raymond. Then after that, I think they target Floyd Schofield. We'll see if that's how it plays out. South of lightweight at Super Feather, O'Shaquie Foster and Stephen Fulton fight officially moved to the Isaac Cruz versus Lamont Roach undercard December 6th. A big fight between O'Shaquie Foster and Stephen Fulton, who would be moving up in weight for a shot at another belt, at a third weight, was most recently scheduled to take place on the October 25th card headlined by Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman. However, with Fundora sustaining an injury that nixed that headline fight for the time being, the Foster versus Fulton fight has found a new landing spot, and it is now to appear on December 6th, headlined by Isaac Pitbull Cruz and Lamont Roach, as reported by ESPN. O'Shaquie Foster will be making his first defense of his junior lightweight world title in his outing, while Fulton steps up as he maintains his WBC featherweight title, looking to become a champion in two divisions simultaneously. Even though he'll then need to make a decision on which belt he wants to keep, he's really already made that decision. I've seen it more than once that Stephen Fulton is done at 126, and moving forward, he wants to stay at 130, given that this matchup is a legitimately good one, with real intrigue. It's good to see this fight find another home in a timely fashion. Just a few weeks out from the original date, veteran boxing scribe Dan Raphael said, per source, Stephen Fulton wanted O'Shaquie Foster fight so much that he made some concessions so that it could be on December 6th. PBC on Prime pay-per-view, rather than waiting to fight him or somebody else early next year. Terms agreed. PBC is waiting on the paperwork. Props to Fulton. That report was further corroborated by veteran boxing scribe Abraham Gonzalez, who says, I was told that Team Foster has been notified regarding the below and will be looking to hopefully finalize soon. It's a fight that both Foster and Fulton want for sure. Not the first time that Stephen Fulton will have made concessions, sort of, sacrifices to ensure a big fight happens, like the Inoue fight, which required him to travel to Japan, and he did. What the PBC had planned for him was a rematch with Brandon Figueroa. He instead decided to grab the bull by the horns to ensure the Inoue fight happens. Now he's done something similar here with O'Shaquie Foster. Does he stand a better chance against Foster than he did against Inoue? Kind of. In this fight, he's the house fighter. He wasn't the house fighter with Inoue, not that it mattered since Inoue knocked him out, whereas here, if it goes to the judges' scorecards, he might get consideration, enough that he becomes a three-weight world champion. Stephen Fulton is once again up for pound honors. He made an appearance on my list, albeit very briefly, before Inoue got to him, for being a unified champion at 122. Here today, he's a two-weight, perhaps going on three-weight world champion. Having beaten champions and then unbeaten Angelo Leo, then unbeaten Brandon Figueroa. Brandon Figueroa again, but at 126. And if he beats O'Shaquie Foster, what's that? 3, arguably 4 champions that he beat? Across 3 weight classes? Yes. If Stephen Fulton pulls this off, he's up for pound consideration. Not the same if O'Shaquie Foster keeps his belt and retains the title, because he hasn't been a champion in as many weights as Stephen. He doesn't have the same resume. It's different. As part of what is a stacked PBC on Prime pay-per-view, I have to admit that this is a good-looking card from top to bottom, which is saying a lot because you guys know I'm no fan of the PBC, but between Oshaki Foster versus Stephen Fulton, Lara versus Yanni Beck, and the main event, Isaac Cruz versus Lamont Roach, this is value for money at a price point of $75 American. I think it's pay-per-view worthy. The whole card as a package. I think it's worth it. Now, whether or not many of you out there will agree with me, well, that's something else. In a very general sense, Americans pay more than anybody, than everybody, for a box office fight. And these days, that's all the time. It seems like every month there's a pay-per-view on, and that didn't used to be the case. The market is inundated with box office fight after box office fight to the point where piracy is at an all-time high. So whether or not the fans will support this card and actually buy it, that's something else. Though looking at it, it is pay-per-view worthy, and that means a lot coming from me, because you know, I'm no fan of the PBC.
Man, I saw some pictures of you. You're looking shredded.
Yeah, for sure.
No candy for you. No M&Ms. No.
Yeah, no, none of that.
How much you weigh right now?
Even though I feel so much better at 147, my weight is good. I eat what I want. It's not my training camps aren't based around weight like they they were for a long time. I was training camp. I would go into training camp to lose weight. And spar pretty much for skills. So now. It's really around game planning. Getting better. It's not about weight.
I mean, you look incredible. To me, it's almost like, wow. I wonder how good you would have felt. Like, do you think, man, if I would have done this like 2-3 fights ago, life would have been a lot easier for me?
Yeah, life would have been a lot easier for me. I think that people said that I'm a weight bully, but I only stayed at those small weight classes because it was so much at stake. I had to defend against Kambosos the second time. I was signed a contract, and then Loma, I signed a contract to do that fight, and then I went up to 140, and I felt all right in the first fight, or my first fight at 140 against Regis. The weight cut, it was hard, but it wasn't extreme. But then for the Ryan fight, it was extreme. So,
was it awful? Was it to the point where you thought maybe you wouldn't make it?
Not that I wouldn't make it. It wasn't that extreme, but it was extreme. I would say the fight where I felt like I wouldn't make it, the second Kambosos fight was super hard. That weight cut was bad. The Loma fight was hard. The worst one was the second Kambosos fight.
The subject of extreme weight cuts in the sport of boxing is a contentious subject because it's basically the industry standard, though some cases are a bit more brazen than others. Devin Haney was always a very big lightweight. His justification for putting his body through that and boiling all the way down to 135 when his body was screaming at him not to.
Well, he says that there was a lot at stake.
I personally think the reason that fighters do this is so that they could have a height advantage, a reach advantage, and in some instances a weight advantage over their opponents, because while this is the industry standard, some cases are more brazen than others. Two fighters might both get down to 135, but once they rehydrate, there will be a noticeable difference in their bodies and their build, and the same applies across other divisions and other weight classes like Boots at 147, now at 154, David Benavidez at 168, now at 175. They won't say it.
It's for an advantage. It's for a height advantage, a reach advantage. It's because you'll be bigger than most of the other fighters at the weight, though in the case of Devin.
And because you're so much bigger than they are, you can effectively overpower them, though in the case of Devin, power?
Devin never had no fucking power.
Which makes him seem like a big-for-nothing kind of guy. You've got all this height and all this length and all this weight over your adversaries, and you don't even hit hard. You don't even stop them.
You didn't beat Loma.
Sort of irritates people. It's annoying in some quarters that you got a big-ass kid like Devin fighting these low-ass guys, and he can't even stop them. So they call him a weight bully. That's what weight bullying is, at least to some people, though as stated, because it's the industry standard, because it's not just Devin doing it, it's a lot of fighters doing it.
You can't just pigeonhole him. I mean, it's what Chris Eubank Jr. is doing at 160. You're always hearing him moaning about how hard it is to get down to 160, so move the fuck up then.
You're the one who's choosing to fight a naturally smaller fighter in Conor Ben. So if it's hard for you to get down there, you made your bed, now lie in it. Weight bullying really is a contentious subject.
I think one day when I'm, retired and my feet is kicked up, then they'll give me my credit and then they'll say, Devin Haney, he's a real throwback fighter. And that's what I am. And I don't do it for them to give me my credit, because that's just the type of person that I am. I want to fight the best fighters in the world. I want to test myself against the best. And it's boxing at the end of the day. If I lose, then it is what it is. I want to test myself though. And I think that's why boxing is where it's at now, is because guys don't test themselves. Everybody cares about everybody want to be undefeated, but I genuinely want to test myself against the best fighters in the world, and I think that I am one of the best fighters in the world. And obviously, every fight that I go in, I think that I'm gonna win. I go in there with that mindset, and I think that I'm a better fighter than them, and yeah, but it is what it is. That's just the type of fighter that I am.
Devin feels that he may not get credit until his career is over. That's the way it was for Cassius Clay, more famously known as Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, some people liked him while he was active, but even more after his career was done, and they had time to reflect upon it, all the people that he fought. Is it going to be that way for Devin? Listen, if he beats Brian Norman, I'm going to give him credit. I won't deprive him of that. I may even have to rank him on the pound-for-pound list for becoming a 3-weight world champion. I can do that. Acknowledge his accomplishments, even if I don't like his style. That's my hang-up with Devin, his base style. There are so many pure boxers out there right now, more than I've ever seen in any era before this one, because so many of these kids are trying to emulate Floyd Mayweather. They're trying to fight like a fighter in his mid-30s, being economic, being careful. They're not being vicious. And that's my hang-up with Devin, like that's my hang-up with Shakur. Sometimes my hang-up with Sky Nicholson.
It's that base style. I just don't like it. You've got a lot of young fighters in their prime fighting like they're in their mid-30s and they've got hand issues. Not one of these hipster sweet science geeks who's going to pretend I'm at all amused or entertained by that style of fighting. I'm not. If I'm up at 11, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night watching a fight, I want it to be a fight, not a fucking ballet. And that's my hang-up with Devin. He tries too hard to be like Floyd Mayweather. I think the welterweight division and boxing as a whole would be better off if the bruiser stays champion, if a vicious fighter that goes for the knockout and fights with spirit, not so much caution.
That's better for the boxing fans, better for the entertainment value of boxing. It's better on television. It comes across better.
So a part of me has a rooting interest in a Brian Norman win. That doesn't mean he's gonna get it. If Devin beats him, I will not deny Devin his plaudits. I'll give him credit, even if I'm not happy about it. I can do that.
I can give him credit. Just sick of seeing that style.